All right, y'all. Welcome back to Taming the Beast. We got an episode going on with Nikki,
What's up?
and my son,
How y'all doing?
Kel Hall here. So we just want to talk about the power of perspective and how changing your viewpoint and just coming from a different perspective can really like change the trajectory of how you think, how you move, how you know what I mean, like deal with life going forward. So um, I'll share a point in time in my life where, and I was young, you know what I mean. Even going from like when you're dealing with relationships and things like that, being a young mom and not being with my daughter's father anymore, and it was like when you break up, sometimes you get angry and like it's all about that other person. But coming from a
Mm-hmm.
different perspective, it was like, yo, let's love our child more than we hate each other, and just
Mm-hmm.
changing that viewpoint, just changing that perspective, it allowed us to co-parent and bring up a child in love instead of argument and confusion.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I guess perspective alone is just something that you could look at on like, I guess like two different levels. Like it can kind of help you out to look at it like on a macro scale of like a perspective of like what you have, like on life, like how you see life, how you perceive those things around you, and then it could also work its way out on like a micro scale too, as to where like you can add your own perspective to certain daily activities to help you to whether you have a good or a bad day, like depending on the perspective that you put on a situation that might fall in front of you. Like you wake up and something happens, a car accident, anything like might happen that you just look at and it bums you out. But then you can just kind of put your perspective on like what can you take from the situation, or like what good can you take from a situation to kind of help you to continue to have a better day and then an even better week and a better month, than to let that situation just kill the rest of your day and then that lead to another negative day, and then it just starts to follow up because that negative energy that you have just attracts to you, and the more negative things that keep happening and negative things that you dwell on, it's just going to keep coming to you because that's the negativity that you're continuing to put out. So like that perspective alone and just looking at those situations can just kind of help like what you bring into your life in the future.
But that happens. That happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening all the time. Um, a lot of people are focusing on the negative. They're not looking at, okay, if you just went in a car accident and your car is down. What's the like? They're not looking at, oh, maybe I need a new car, so I
Mm-hmm.
might just
They don't
what's
they don't
going.
see insurance might
Yeah,
cash them out after that
yeah.
one. They
You
don't
might
never
get a brand
know.
new
Like
car.
for real,
It's definitely perspective is a
it's a tool.
yeah, that is a skill you definitely need to have, and you can have it. Um, and it's just about being positive in during situations like, say if you did break up, like you said, you broke up with somebody, or like your parents died, and then you just looking at the world like mad. You mad at the world, like
Mm-hmm.
what you mad for? Like they chilling.
But here's how you break that down. So all the things that we talked about were events that happened. It
Yes.
happened. We
Mm-hmm.
can't go back in time. We can't unhappen those events. So
Mm-hmm.
now we make a choice, you know what I mean? And we choose, based off of our perspective on which way we want to go. You know what I mean? Do we
Exactly.
want to, like, Kel said earlier, do we want to take what happened and learn from it, then grow from it? Or do we want to sit and sulk and be victims of it? So what happened happened. Ain't no taking that back. Now, you know what I mean, you have the power to move forward and grow from whatever it is that happened.
Our perspectives start when we're young though too. So
No, I absolutely I agree. So a question I have
Mm-hmm.
for you, you know what I mean, like as a child whose parents have split up and going through divorce, and you know what I mean, having a big weight on your shoulders, being an overachiever yourself with high school and football and then college, and how did that shape your perspective, and like when, like if it shaped you in a negative way at all, how did it shift positive for you?
Um, I guess as to how it might have shaped in a negative way. I guess I looked at the entire situation like as a whole when it was happening negatively, and I didn't really know what to think about it. It was just kind of like you go from living, I guess, one way, one nuclear family for such a long time, and then it kind of splits, and then it's like a different dynamic in like mom's house and dad's house instead of like that combined dynamic that you were always under and always living under. But then I guess it kind of just put in perspective on it. I guess it allowed me to just step back and like just kind of look at both situations and like where both you guys came from in life, and to just be able to see, like, especially now, like as time went on, like how you guys both kind of grew from that situation, and like I can see it on both ends, like, and it happened in different ways too. Like for you, it happened differently than would have happened for Dad. Like you took a different route about it, and I don't know if he really took any sort of personal route about it, but he definitely has grown, and I've seen that from him. But like, I guess like you took more of like a mental, like you got into your own space, like you figured out like how to love yourself type of thing, and like read books on it and just kind of helped to build your perspective. I feel like he had his growth without like doing all those things, and I guess that's from that also feel like coincides with just how like society works around like how males go about like expressing themselves and trying to actually get to know themselves. Like it's seen as weak in so many ways, but I kind of was able to look at that and like see how you went about it and how he went about it, and then I have my own perspective on how I don't feel like being able to express yourself and talk about things and get through things with somebody else is like not seen as weak. So I guess I take from my perspective, and building upon that perspective, I took, I guess, that out of the situation. I guess that's the first thing off the top of my head I could say that I took from it. Like,
So are your relationships now, are they better?
Yeah, definitely better. I mean, now I'm just older. Like I have nothing to like hide from anybody. Like if like there's nothing, at least I don't think like there's nothing that like I really do that my parents might not know about. Like I don't really like conceal anything. I don't hide anything. Like I talk to them openly about whatever it is that I'm doing. So I do have a pretty good relationship with both of them. And I guess over like the past like 6 months to a year, like it's gotten there like with my dad. But me and my mom over the past few years have had a pretty good relationship though, and pretty open relationship about a lot of things though.
I do like one thing that you touched on when you talked about how society makes men feel like they can't express them feelings in a certain way. Like, you know what I mean? It looks at it as like weak. However, I know for just maybe over the last 6 months and talking with, and you even see it on social media, the shift on social media a little bit, like the difference where men want to be, you know, appreciated and loved and desired and needed, you know what I mean? And they have, you know, feelings and way of expressing themselves. But because, you know, like think about it, how long did it take for Daddy to say I love you? It just wasn't something that a man said, you know what I mean? Like, not that he didn't love any of us, or definitely not that he didn't love any of y'all. It just wasn't something that was said from man to man, you know what I mean? Like even with your homies, you don't hear that, where women will hang up all the time and just be like, yo, I love you, be safe, be good, you know what I mean? Like but I think that that also is something that, you know, we as older adults now and parents and those who, you know, are soon to become parents need to think about that. You know what I mean? What are we saying to our sons when they fall? Get up, you're a boy, don't cry. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't allow them to be, you know, emotional, express
That
themselves
ego
in a healthy way.
perspective.
So then they grow up with that, you know, that stigma or that, you know, stereotype.
That ego, that strong ego, that needs to calm down a little bit. That's what it is. It's like more is ego. It's all ego. You ain't supposed to have your feminine. It's too soft. They don't like it, and that's okay.
Yeah, I would say I feel like that's definitely a problem. Like I see now, like just in society, is just that lack of femininity. Period. Like I feel
and
like
you need it. You need it.
yeah. I was gonna say I feel like a lot of men don't realize that like you were born with both male and feminine aspects of you. So like to conceal, yeah, exactly. Like to be balanced with that, or to at least work your way towards being balanced with that. Like you'll have a lot more peace like in your soul than you will if you try to over escalate the masculine side of you and just completely conceal the feminine. Because I feel like just in society as a whole, like in a lot of different countries around the world, and we're not even just talking about America, like a lot of third world countries and Muslim countries and stuff like that, where like the entire feminine energy of the country itself is concealed, as to where women have no voice in a lot of different situations.
Right.
And like that's just, it's all the way going. So then now males they don't even have a representation of what femininity is, and all you see is the masculine. You see a lot of these countries where their towns and neighborhoods and stuff are just filled with trash and dirt and stuff like that. Do you think like that type of stuff would be going on if we had any type of women in power, where they could have some type of say as to where they want, how they wanted their city to look? Like when men control everything and they have that lack of femininity and feminine energy, it's just, you see it, and it caused the world in a lot of ways to be how it is today, and to how so much hate is spread today, because it seems like men don't know how to express any type of love at
Well,
all.
here's
Not
the
caring.
thing. Here's the thing, and this even goes into the Bible. Men have been commanded, and this is going to break it down from a marriage viewpoint. You know what I mean? Where God has to command the man to love his wife. You know what I mean? I command you. It literally says command. I command you to love your wife. Right? It does not say, woman, I command you to love your husband, because he doesn't have to command us to do what we were created to do. We just naturally do that. And so it's a difference between the energies and the balance, where women they're the nurturers, they're the healers. You know what I mean? They're those, they are the ones who love, who heal, who nurture, right? Who tend to, who care for, where men are more of protectors, providers, right? So you need the two in unity to work together to have full balance, right? But when we talk about masculine and feminine energy in one person, so me as a female, you as a male, I identify as female, you identify as male.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how does one say, oh, well, what do you mean show your femininity, like, or as a woman, what do you mean show your masculinity, like, and I
It's
have different
caring.
viewpoints and perspectives on that as well. I feel like sometimes, because women sometimes have to step up too much, especially, for black women. You hear it all the time: strong black woman, strong independent black woman, or just strong woman, strong independent anyway. So it's like you're taking on a role also that, is form of a masculine role point. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't really get to be in that soft era, right? But then I've come to realize that with some men, it's like when the space is safe and it's a loving environment, this is where I see the femininity at. And it's just a matter of, they want to be cuddled too. You know what I mean? Like,
They want spa days.
They want spa days too. You know what I mean? Like they want to know that they're needed and loved and feel all of that. So you as a person who is a male and identifies as male, how would you balance, you know what I mean, like, feminine energy versus masculine energy?
I feel like at least from like what I interpret, like what I'm beginning to interpret like feminine energy in a male as is, I'm kind of seeing it as like being able to have a level of understanding that leads to empathy, and then being able to apply wisdom to situations also, because I feel like men just do a lot of things without thinking about what they're doing, and without having empathy for the other party in the conflict or the other side,
right,
who is involved, and just only thinking from their viewpoint. I feel like women.
So you're
think,
actually tapping into your emotions.
yeah, like being able to tap into my emotions to the point to where like I can understand like where this other person is coming from to help me build my view on this situation. You get what I'm saying? That's where perspective also is able to come in. Like I can try my best to step back and like be in their shoes and have empathy for them, and understand like why they might be upset with me, or why they might be upset with the situation, and why their attitude and energy is coming off towards me in this certain type of way, so that I can have a better response to whatever is going on, aside from just meeting their fire with fire, which is
Right.
not always needed in every situation. So that's like just that, because I mean you see it like with a lot of like mythology and stuff like that. Like a lot of the gods that deal with beauty, wisdom, understanding, empathy, those type of things are like a lot more the women goddesses, and then those aggressive and more
War
dominant,
and-
yeah,
yeah,
and like exactly those type of roles are portrayed more by those male deities and stuff like that. So like you just, to be able to take everything you can from that, like we're all like humans at the end of the day, like whether you're male or female, and a lot of these mythologies, whether they were male or female, worship these gods and goddesses equally. So like to be able to just sit back as one person and be able to take all you can from these things, and it's all about like how you interpret it. Like the same way with like a lot of these mythological figures, the way that people interpreted that was the way that they led their lives, the way that they interpreted like how these people came off, or what these people might have wanted them to do or whatever, is the same way that people interpret the Bible, and they live their life based off of that interpretation of the Bible, that interpretation of the Quran and stuff like that. So it's just
It's all perspective.
exactly. It's all about
perspective.
the perspective that you put on something, and the way that you interpret something that kind of leads
And
you
there's
to.
just not one perspective. There's many.
Mm-hmm. Most
many.
definitely.
If one route don't work, there's another one.
Always.
And there's always another way.
Always.
But you have to be able to
See it.
see it. Most people, I feel like, are stuck in like a fixed mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, you definitely have to be open-minded. You have to be able to, put yourself at a nothingness state. From nothing comes everything. You have to be able to be open to see all viewpoints, and then you decide which one works best for you. Are you going to follow the Bible, or are you going to follow the Quran? Or any other, teaching that,
and nothing's wrong.
Identifies with yourself.
Nothing's wrong. Whatever perspective you take, nothing's wrong.
I mean, yeah, like at the end of the day, like as far as like a lot of those different teachings of like those religious groups and stuff like that, like a lot of the base principles that they talk about are all the same things.
Right.
Like regardless of the way they go about worshiping that deity or that energy, the base principles of it end up all being the same thing, coming behind love and being caring for thy neighbor and all these different things that they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that people don't sit back from a perspective of like,
he's
take
Muslim. What they want.
Yeah, he's Muslim, but he prays about the same things that I pray about. He learns and interprets the same things that I learn and interpret. Like these people think that their Bible is so much different from their Quran, that this person is so much different than me because of that, when like they don't even understand. Like go read their book and go understand that y'all is talking and praying and worshiping about the same things.
Same,
like go read that
the same
book.
God, the same God, because there's only one God.
But like that's the one thing that I don't understand and like about religion.
Well, religion was created to divide.
Yeah,
religion was created to control. Religion is a business.
Yeah,
so.
It's the history behind it. It's not as pretty as what people going to church on Sundays think it is. But
when you have a perspective of what how like the government, like they're the oppressors, right? They oppress. And you do that, and you keep doing that. That perspective of the what do you want to say, the mass, the country, the collective, whatever you want to say, that perspective, they depend on the government, because the government put that on them. It's like now it's time to like start to break away, because that perspective is, what is it doing? Look at it. Look at the world. What is it doing?
I mean, it's almost like a lot of governments across the world. Like I've been listening to some podcasts and some stuff on this lately too. But like a lot of governments across the world, like kind of like they set things up to almost think for their citizens in a way. Like the way that the news and the media is always broadcasted in such similar ways. Like if you look at the news outlets all across the country and notice how they're using some of the same exact words and the same exact propaganda and the same exact narratives. It just kind of it puts it to a way to where they put out the same information to their masses, and they get the masses of people to watch the same things, so that they all think the same ideas.
The same way.
So they already pre-think for people. So a lot of times when people bring up different ideas or a different way of thinking or trying to introduce different perspectives to people, they can't even comprehend it because they only think it's one way of thinking. Like their government taught them to think like this. Their school system taught them to think like this.
You have to go to job. You have to go to school.
This is a scientific fact. So this is the fact, and this is it. And there's nothing else that you could say about it. Like, which I don't understand, because you could look back at history and see so many times how science was wrong. Like it was a time in America where it was a scientific fact that a black person was actually an animal and they weren't a human. And doctors had all type of PowerPoints and reviews and studies put together on the skull structure and all type of things that they put together to try to back this science and to try to back this fact. So like it's just been so many times that we have been wrong in human history. So like people need to sit back and just realize that we still can be wrong. Like we're not like we don't understand everything. Like there's so much that we don't know, and people think that we do know everything. So that's where that fixed mindset also comes into, like just being able to understand that you don't realize how much you don't know. Like it's a pie, and like you know so much of the pie, but then you don't know so much of the pie. But which majority of the pie consists of all the things that you don't know that you don't know.
Right.
So like people don't understand that, and they think they know so much that they can't sit back and look from that broader perspective.
Right. But even the part of the pie that you don't know, like you know that you don't know this, like I know that I don't know Spanish. That's still a form of knowing, because I can go ahead and I can learn that now. So we're like so when Kel is talking about that I don't know what I don't know, that's a big area that's left out there to still be interpreted, like and discovered, and all of those things. But here's a big part of where control comes from. You have to be kept in a state of fear, because if you're afraid, then you can be controlled. Because now you're looking for a savior, not realizing that you are your own savior. You can get yourself out of your own problems. You can think for yourself. You can be your own hero. So when you when you are constantly in a state of fear, which a lot of times the news draws to, it's all about fear. You know what I mean? Pandemic and all of that. It's all about fear.
Oh my
Like
God.
now you're looking for someone to save you. You know what I mean? And it's just
The answers is
you have to get out of that. You know, you have to go back to my perspective of all of that is just getting back to knowing who I am, trusting myself, loving myself enough to trust myself. You know what I mean? My own past experiences, you know what I mean? And love myself to go for my goals, you know what I mean? To go towards the things that I want in life in spite of how scary it may feel, because that's just a feeling, which feelings come and feelings go. And on the other side of it, even just last night when we were having a conversation in the book club, and we were talking about scuba diving, and I remember being in the quarry and not being able to see anything beyond my feet, like, and it's like I can't even tell you how deep the water is, but I can see, like, it wasn't dirty water, it was clear, but it's so deep you can only see with your eyes so far, and it was such an overwhelming feeling of fear before diving down there. I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. I'm panicking. And then I just did it, and it was the most beautiful experience going down there and experiencing it. So that's it. You just, you have to move. You have to move into that moment of fear.
And you also have to stop listening to other people's projections, other people's perspectives, because their perspective is not yours. Like,
it's not.
Just because they can't do something don't mean you can't.
And our gifts are all different. That person wasn't equipped to do what you can do. You get what I'm saying? I'm not equipped to do what you can do. You're not equipped to do what I can do. So yeah, if it's something I can't do, it doesn't seem fathomable that anyone else can do it. You know what I mean? So that's just a projection. This is how come you have to believe in yourself so much, you know what I mean, that in spite of other people's nays, you can still say yes to yourself.
Yep. I'm going to do this. I can go this way. This is my perspective. It don't got to be yours. You got to be okay with it, too. You got to be okay with it.
Yeah, it's honestly like, it's like, I don't know how to explain it, because you got to think about it, right? It was a point where, like, humans, like, didn't have a language. Like, English wasn't always here. So, like, it's about, like, the power that you put behind those words. And, like, the power that you put behind those words lets off a certain frequency that is able to, like, vibrate through your cells. Because, like, if I say I can do this, it's the same thing as somebody else saying it in a different language, but it might mean the same thing to ourselves, him saying it in that language and me saying it in this language. So it's just about the power that you give those words. And when you tell yourself something to believe that is powerful in itself, because your body responds to, like, your belief systems. And, like, that's what I'm really understanding, like, especially, like, in the past couple of months, like, your body really responds to your beliefs. Like, aside
if
from,
you
like,
feel
what you just,
shitty, most likely you is shit.
Yeah, if you tell yourself you're gonna have a bad day, you're probably gonna have a bad day.
Yeah.
Like, or if you tell yourself that you can't do something, then you probably can't do it. But if you if I tell myself it's no problem, like, I could wake up tomorrow at 5 a.m., like, I could do it for easy. But the days I'm like, I know I'm not gonna want to get up tomorrow. I'm probably gonna end up sleeping in past my alarm clock type of thing. So like, it's all about what you tell yourself. Like, it's a couple nights before going to bed where, like, I had that thought, like, I'm probably not gonna get up, and then I had to consciously stop and think to myself, like, you probably won't get up because you just told yourself that. So I'll say to myself a few times before I go to bed, like, there's no reason for me not to get up. Like, I know I'm gonna be there in the morning, and then I wake up, and next thing you know, my feet walking through the gym doors. So, like, it's really all about, like, what you tell yourself, like, you can and can't do. Like, if I tell myself I'm probably going to do bad on the test, like, I've got a better chance of doing bad than I do if I go in there feeling good about myself because of my preparation, though. So, like, think about that as well. Like, aside from just beliefs, like, a lot of things come with the preparation that you have and the time that you put into things. Like, nothing just happens overnight. Like, you can't just believe that you could run 30 miles an hour tomorrow without doing training over the past few years, like the rest of the athletes, to try to run as fast as they can. Like, those belief systems come with preparation and consistency in those belief systems.
Exactly. But believing is seeing. So you do have to believe it first. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of people be like, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, you're never going to see it, and therefore you're never going to believe it. Right. So belief comes with seeing. So even to go just a little bit deeper on, like, even a spiritual level with, everything that you just said, belief systems and vibrational beings on a cellular level, like, it truly is this. I refer a lot back to the Bible because just that's what I read, right? So a lot of my foundation is going to come from that, right? And those truths are still truths, right? So You have to have faith as small as a mustard seed. That's all it takes, they say. But what are you putting your faith in? You know what I mean? And as you put that faith in, you build up. So who are you believing in? Are you believing in something outside of yourself or something in yourself? And who better to believe in than you, right? And then it's all about how you actually feel. You know what I mean? You attract what you feel. So if you, like, the days that I don't, like, if I'm wearing makeup, most likely I woke up not feeling good that day. Like maybe a little headache, or maybe I didn't sleep as much the night before. But I'm going to put on some makeup because it's going to make me feel better. And then my day is going to go about better, because you're attracting what you actually feel. Some people say, oh, it's your word. And you do have to watch your words, because your thoughts become words and your words become actions. And then based off your actions is how you feel, right? But it's not just putting words out there. It's literally actually feeling, you know, those feelings that attract those things back into your life, both good and both bad. You know, there's both sides to everything. Seeking, you will find. Well, what are you seeking? Because you're going to find it, right? Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So all of these things are connected: mind, body, and spirit. Like mind, body, and spirit. So a good tool, what you just mentioned, going to bed the night before, is literally like meditating and clearing your mental space. You know what I mean? And just, or even like writing down your goals, because you're going to bed and you're thinking on those things, right? And so if you're thinking on not getting up in the morning, like you said, most likely you're not. But if you're writing down your goals, or just reviewing your vision board, maybe you already wrote down your goals, but right before you go to bed, you look at those goals. That's what's on your mind. You know, that's what you're going to meditate on all through the night. When you wake up in the morning, you know, before you even hit the ground, give some thanks. Put your hand over your heart. Tell yourself you love you. You know, I love you. You know what I mean? Like, put that positive energy back into yourself before you even go to start your day. So, power of perspective is such a powerful tool in life. You know, it's all about how you see things and how you look at things. And no matter what's happening, you have the power to change your perspective on it, and therefore how you move about going forward.
Perspective, man.
Yeah. But all of it coincides, you know, the power of words, the power of perspective, the power, you know what I mean? Like the power of belief. Like these, you know, someone said, well, how come if, you know, like this religion, this happens, and this religion, that happens? And because that person actually believed it. Their faith was that great. You know what I mean? Like they believed it so much so that it willed themselves to be true. So, you know, just thinking about that in a different perspective as well.
Have a positive. It's hard. How do you, if somebody don't know how to change their perspective, how would you change it?
Maybe change your surroundings. Maybe you need to change your surroundings. Maybe you're around too many people who give off negative energy, right? I'll tell you this. I'll give you a perfect example of some things. Like, I always am like that happy go, good morning, how you doing, right? And I remember working in a doctor's office, and I will always say, how you doing? Well, when you say how you're doing, sometimes you're going to get it, right? And so the lady was sitting every morning. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. It was just 1, like, and I was just like, so before we even started the shift, I would be drained, like, damn, that was so sad. That was so, you know what I mean? Like, everything was just like, it was like, it felt like a never ending story of my life. It sucks. And, you know, I'm not going to get out of this rut, and I'm not going to get out of that rut. And then it started to affect me to the point where it was like, damn, I don't even feel like working right now. So I stopped asking her how she was doing. I had to just go in and be like, good morning. We're going to have a great day today. You get what I'm saying? So even though I didn't necessarily change the environment, I did shift the atmosphere. You get what I'm saying? So I stopped asking her how's she doing, because at this point, like, no, right? So let me just shift the atmosphere on that. And it was just, good morning. We're going to have a great day. I bought you some coffee. You know what I mean? Like, you just shift it. And so sometimes, you know, I know someone who lives in a home with family members, and they just feel like that they're drowning around these other people. And it's like, well, then get out of there. You know what I mean? Like, get out of there, because every time you try to get up and move in a direction of where you want to go, and it's something good for your life, but you have these people around you saying, this isn't going to work, you're not that good, you're not that great, Eventually you'll start to believe that,
Mm-hmm.
and now you know what I mean, you're
Now
not
your
moving forward
perspective
in
is-
what you
yep.
want. So in that situation, I told that person, leave that environment. You know what I mean? You're old enough now where you can go get, you know, like you've already identified the problem, so now you get to work on the solution. So I think that sometimes it's just that. It's just shifting the atmosphere. It's being what it is that you want to see. You get what I'm saying? Like, you literally have to be what it is that you want to see. If you want to be loved, then you've got to be loving. You get what I'm saying? You want to be forgiven, you've got to be forgiving. Sometimes it's literally just being that thing for yourself and say, I'm not going to be the victim anymore. You know what I mean? Like, this is not, you know, this is not my life. I'm going to choose differently. And you have to do it in spite of other people. Like, it has to be a choice. Like, there are times where I have to wake up and make the same choice every single day to remind myself I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. Being true to my own self, because I'm worth it. I deserve it. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
So, power of perspective. As you go into the new year, listen, everything that happens is a blessing, because if it wasn't an actual blessing, it was a lesson, and the lesson was still the blessing, right? Because now you get to learn from it. Now you get to grow from it. Every person you meet is a teacher. You know what I mean? Like, so learn from every person you meet, learn from every experience that you go through, and then grow through it all.
Try to have an open mindset.
Yeah, definitely try to keep an open mind, and like she said, try to learn through those things, because sometimes like situations can happen as to where they could be a big learning curve for people, or a big lesson for people, and you could be so caught up in how frustrated you are at the situation that you just spend all your time being frustrated, and then you just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Instead of actually taking that time to step back and learn from it and think about what you can gain from it, and maybe think about how not to be in that situation again.
Yeah, and guess what happens
So-
when you don't take the time to learn that lesson? You
It
move
ends
on to
up
the next
happening
thing.
again.
Same
History
Take
repeats
it with
itself.
you.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep, that
Exactly.
lesson stays there until you learn that lesson.
Yeah, you just carry it with you into every next situation. So sit back, reflect, meditate, give praise. The fact that you woke up today and have air in your lungs is the first thing to be thankful for. And so just set that mindset going forward. Connect with people of like-mindedness, right? You know what I mean? Like, hook up, like change your environment, you know, like do all of those things to get yourself in a better headspace.
If something's going bad, look at it a different way. Ask yourself questions. Why is this happening? Why did this, like, don't be like, oh shit, this just keep fucking happening to me.
But here's the thing with that too, though. Let me say something about this, because not everything can you change. You can't.
But you gotta
can't
go along
change
with
everything.
it.
So some things you have to say, if I can't change this, can I surrender to it? And sometimes it's just a matter of surrendering and saying, listen, this has happened. It is what it is. Learning from it to grow from it. You know what I mean? But surrender and acceptance. Change what you can. You know what I mean? And then, you know.
Learn from what you can't.
Right. What's the serenity prayer? How it go? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and the courage to change the things that I cannot accept, or something along those lines.
Yeah, you got me with that.
Right? I'm like, wait, what?
But listen, y'all, thank you for tapping in. Have a blessed, happy new year. And we'll see you on the next episode of Tame the Beast.
It was
Yes.
Protect your energy.
For sure. Until next time,
Deuces.
peace and love.